and the Occupy Democrats Network. Appreciate all you for joining us. And we have a big show lined up for you today. We got a lot to talk about, including Roger Stone apparently attempting a possible, there's really no other way to put this, a kidnapping and a possible murder of Democrats that are in office. You cannot make this stuff up because he's caught on tape doing it. Michelle Obama doing a few podcasts, a few interviews, and interesting comments she has made about the upcoming 2024 election. We'll get all of that. But I have to start, ladies and gentlemen, by talking about the orange turd. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I have to start talking about Donald Trump, also known as Cheeto Jesus. So he does an interview. I didn't even know Lindell TV even existed, by the way. Can some of you help me with this? Mike Lindell is still running this Lindell TV. Didn't he just file for bankruptcy? The guy can't even afford legal representation, and Lindell TV, who I would imagine 12 people maybe are watching at this point. But Donald Trump did an interview. Of course he does an interview on Lindell TV. He won't do an interview with anybody where he'll be challenged on any of his crap. But he'll do an interview on Lindell TV, of course. Softball interview, ladies and gentlemen. This guy is getting more and more deranged by the day. And these clips prove it, ladies and gentlemen. They prove it in this interview he did. I want you to have a listen to what Donnie had to say about why he thinks he will win the 2024 elections and why he says Democrats have absolutely no chance. Have a listen to this.
How do we stop them from cheating? People ask me, will they do it again, sir? Because, I'm in Florida now, and I drive to various locations and airports and places. Every house has a Trump sign on it. Trump 2024. We got all the votes we need. The risk is what's going to happen during election period.
So Donald Trump's evidence that he is the overwhelming favorite to win the 2024 election is because when he drives from the airport, by the way, these aren't my words, these are his words. When he drives from the airport to Mar-a-Lago, he sees all these Trump flags in front of all these houses. And somehow that means Joe Biden has no chance to win the 2024 election. Could you be any more deranged than that? Oh, it gets worse, ladies and gentlemen. It gets worse in this Lindell TV interview. Listen now to what Donald Trump has to say about Democrats winning any elections down the road.
Around. We have to win in 2024. We cannot allow anybody else. They don't have the votes. The only way they can win is to cheat.
Is there any human being with an IQ over 20 that doesn't have Trump fellatio syndrome, that believes that, number one, Democrats don't have the vote and that there's no way they can win unless they cheat? By Donald Trump's standards, if a Republican wins or if Donald Trump wins, perfectly legitimate. But if a Democrat wins, it must be cheating. No, Mr. President, that's not how it works. You see, there's a reason why Democrats have won 6 of the last 7 popular vote in presidential elections, is because the ideas of the Republican Party as a whole in this country, most people don't agree with, or lack of ideas, lack of solutions. There's a reason why Donald Trump lost the 2020 election, and there's a reason why he won in 2016. Let's start with 2016. I made a mistake in 2016, and I'm not perfect, and I admit that. I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. Now, I also didn't vote for Donald Trump. I didn't like either of them. I made a big mistake, and I admit that. And there's a lot of people, by the way, that I talked to, good people that voted for Trump in 2016, even some people that I talked to that voted for Trump in 2022 that admit they made a mistake. And I appreciate that. Amy Tarkanian, the former GOP chairwoman, who I have a ton of respect for, she admits that she made a mistake. But the reason why Donald Trump won in 2016, first of all, I think a lot of people didn't know how dangerous and capable he was of being dangerous and the threats to our democracy. Nobody even dreamed of something like January 6th happening. Because when I saw Donald Trump visit Barack Obama in the White House, I saw a subdued Donald Trump. Quiet, well-mannered, respectful. And I was hopeful that that's the type of president we would see. But the reason why Donald Trump won in 2016 is because I don't think Hillary Clinton ran a very good campaign. It's not because she wasn't qualified, overqualified. Not because she didn't have experience, ton of experience. Not because she's not intelligent. She's a very intelligent lady. She didn't run a good campaign, and I don't believe she resonated with middle America at least as much as she should have. And that's why she lost. And Donald Trump won, legitimately. Do I think Russia interference played a role in the 2016 election? No, I don't. Did Russia interfere? Yes, that's been proven. But I don't think it controlled the outcome of the 2016 election. And by the way, Hillary Clinton conceded the next day. So why did Trump lose in 2020? I think there are a lot of reasons for that, and you're looking at one of them. I don't despise Joe Biden. I think he's a good man. I do think he has character. But I'm not head over heels for Joe Biden, but I think he's done a pretty good job as president. But I voted for Joe Biden because it was an anti-Donald Trump vote. And if Donald Trump didn't spew all the hateful rhetoric and the disgusting statements that he makes, and his coronavirus press conferences where he turned them into campaign rallies, and the lies and the bigotry and the hatred, he might still be president today. He lost mainly because of those things I just mentioned. And the handling of COVID was a disaster. That's why Donald Trump lost. Yeah, there were a lot of diehard Democrats out there that vote around party lines, but a lot of independents like myself voted for Joe Biden because it was an anti-Donald Trump vote. It wasn't because Democrats cheated. It wasn't because Joe Biden cheated. It had nothing to do with George Soros. Donald Trump lost the election fair and square. So when he says that the Democrats don't have the votes, that's a lie. When he says that the only way they can win is if they cheat, that's a lie. In fact, to the contrary, Republicans across the country were the ones that were cheating, a la the fake electorate scheme. The 6 Republicans in Nevada that were indicted recently, including the GOP chair. They're the ones who tried to cheat the fake electorate scheme. I need to find 1,142 votes. The Republicans were the ones that were cheating. They were the ones that were trying to overturn the outcome of a free and fair election. They are the types of people that stormed the Capitol on January 6th. The Democrats weren't cheating. The MAGA Republicans were cheating, and I believe they will probably continue to try to do that in the 2024 elections. Now, I'm going to prove to you in one quick soundbite why Donald Trump doesn't care about this country. He doesn't care about making America great again. He only cares about himself. And this clip right here proves it. Donald Trump talking about the economy, wishing that the economy goes down in flames. Have a listen to this.
When there's a crash, I hope it's going to be during this next 12 months, because I don't want to be Herbert Hoover. The one president, I just don't want to be Herbert Hoover.
There you hear Donald Trump in his own words saying he hopes the economy crashes. Now, why would he say something like that? Because he wants to win the 2024 election. He doesn't care if people suffer. He doesn't care if the economy plunges, which, by the way, it's not. It's been heading in the right direction for months and months and months. There he is in his own words. So for you MAGA supporters out there, and I know some of you are listening, when you say that Donald Trump wants to make America great again and he cares so much about this country, and Vivek Ramaswamy calls Donald Trump some sort of patriot, which obviously he's not, then why would he say he hopes the economy plunges? So he can own the libs? So it would make Joe Biden look bad? And he would rather that happen and millions and millions and millions, hundreds of millions of people in this country suffering financially so that it makes Donald Trump look good and Joe Biden look bad. That's not somebody who cares about the country, and you're hearing it in real time from Donald Trump's own mouth, ladies and gentlemen, and that proves it right there. But of course, the idiot who's interviewing Donald Trump doesn't press him on that. Mr. President, why would you wish for the economy to plunge? Don't you care about the American people? That would also include your supporters. That's a follow-up question that a good reporter would ask. But these moron idiots on Lindell TV, by the way, if someone came up to you and said, hey, I'm a reporter. Oh, cool. What network do you work for? Oh, I work for Lindell TV. I would laugh in their face. That's not a network. It's a joke. Just like OAN or Newsmax. These are jokes. They're not news networks. They're propaganda networks. Fox lies. That's what they are. Lindell TV. Give me a break. Who watches this crap? And then On the contrary, in this same interview, we have Donald Trump, again, talking about the economy, which is, by the way, doing pretty good right now compared to other economies that we compare ourselves to across the world. We're doing pretty good when it comes to inflation and gas prices. But here's Donald Trump, again, in his own words, trying to take credit for what is right now a pretty stable economy in 2024, at the beginning of it, and Trump's trying to take credit for it. Here is Cheeto Jesus himself trying to take credit for the good in the economy right now.
We have an economy that's incredible. We have an economy that's so fragile. And the only reason it's running now is it's running off the fumes of what we did, what the Trump administration. It's just running off the fumes.
The economy is running. So at one point he's saying how bad he thinks the economy is. And then he's saying, well, it's running right now because of what we did. The hell is he talking about? This man is getting more and more deranged by the day. You know, on one hand, he's saying that the only way Democrats can win an election is if they cheat, which is an absurd statement. And if a Republican wins, oh, it must have been fair. Everything must have gone smoothly. This guy is absolutely losing his mind. And it doesn't do any justice. You know, I'd love to see somebody like Jake Tapper interview Donald Trump, or Jim Acosta interview Donald Trump, or Wallace, who used to work for Fox News, interview Donald Trump. Heck, even, you know, a Neil Cavuto, who at least I have some respect for. But when you go on Lindell TV with their 10 followers, and you go on that network, I quote it news network because it's not, and you hear somebody interview this guy and doesn't challenge him on any of the lies and the pure stupidity and the things that he says. And by the way, in this interview, he also went on tangents talking about windmills. He seems to be obsessed with windmills, and the guy didn't do anything when it came to windmills when he was president, but he always talks about windmills and makes these, you know, nonsensical arguments and lies, blatant lies. Just throw things at a wall and hope it sticks. And sadly, many in his MAGA base believe it. And it's disgusting. So one of the people out there, like myself, that is very concerned and very, I guess you could say, worried is one term that I would use, is Michelle Obama. So Michelle Obama did a podcast over the weekend, and she said she's terrified about the potential outcome of the 2024 election. So am I. She's listing November's presidential contest as among the fears that keep her awake at night in this interview, actually, that she did yesterday. So I want to play a little bit for you because, listen, Michelle Obama is somebody that I have a tremendous amount of respect for. She's an extremely intelligent lady, Harvard grad, very well educated, very intelligent, very well spoken, was a classy first lady. Classy. Unlike some other first ladies. I'll put Laura Bush on that list of class. I didn't always agree with George W. Bush, but I think Laura Bush was a very nice first lady and you know, a nice woman. Jimmy Carter's wife, who sadly just passed away, very classy lady, good woman. So here's Michelle Obama, and people listen to what she has to say, and rightfully so. And this is kind of daunting. This is Michelle Obama in her own words talking about the upcoming 2024 election, talking about how she's terrified. Have a listen to this.
The things that keep me up because you don't have control over them. Mm-hmm. And you wonder, where are we in this? You know, where are our hearts? What's going to happen in this next election? I am terrified about what could possibly happen because our leaders matter. Who we select, who speaks for us, who holds that bully pulpit. It affects us in ways that sometimes I think people take for granted.
So I agree with what she just said. But here would be my message to Michelle Obama. I know you don't want to be back in the White House. I know you want to stay out of politics. I know you want to live your life with your family and enjoy life, and rightfully so. You deserve that, and you should. You're a very accomplished lady. Here's something that could maybe unterrify a lot of people in this country. Run for office. I can tell you right now, hands down, I know she doesn't want to do it. If Michelle Obama ran for president of the United States, if she made the announcement, I guarantee you Joe Biden would step aside. I guarantee you that all Democrats would step aside. I guarantee you that she would get overwhelming support from everybody. Can you imagine Michelle Obama campaigning with her husband? Can you imagine what that would look like? I will tell you this right now, beyond the shadow of a doubt, and I will use one of Donald Trump's terms to do so. Landslide victory. There is not one Republican in this country that would even have a chance to defeat Michelle Obama if she ran for office. She's too smart. She's too polished. She's too accomplished. She's too educated. And she would just wipe the floor clean with Donald Trump. Wipe the floor clean. And we know Donald Trump has an issue with women, particularly women that happen to be minorities. She would destroy him. Now, I know people that know the Obamas well, and they all tell me the same thing. She wants to stay away from the White House. She doesn't want to go anywhere near the White House. Okay, I understand that. And she has the right not to run. But if she truly is terrified, and I believe she's telling the truth, like so many Americans are, maybe it's a sacrifice that needs to be made. I know she doesn't have to. I wonder what her husband would say about that if somebody asked Barack Obama, how would you feel about your wife running for president? She would not only be the first female president, she would be the first president, the second president, I should say, a minority. She would win in a landslide, hands down. Now, she's been on a tear when it comes to Donald Trump. She's done some speeches. She's done some podcasts. Here's Michelle Obama this week. Just her thoughts on Donald Trump and the presidency itself, which I think is really important for everybody to hear. Have a listen to this.
We need an adult in the White House. So if a candidate is erratic and threatening, if a candidate traffics in prejudice, fears, and lies on the campaign trail, if a candidate thinks that not paying taxes makes you smart, or that it's good business when people lose their homes, if a candidate regularly and flippantly makes cruel and insulting comments about women, about how we look, how we act, well, sadly, that's who that candidate really is.
Yeah, she's right. Michelle Obama is 100% correct. You can disagree with somebody's policies. You can disagree with somebody's politics in general. We all can disagree as Americans, whether we take the side of one politician or another. But the behavior of Donald Trump is beneath the presidency. It's beneath the office. And she's 100% correct. I would beg Michelle Obama, beg, please run for president. Please. The country needs you. We need you. You would be a champion for women's rights, for the LGBT community. You would be a champion for fairness. You would be a champion for being able to reach. A lot of people say, well, Bill Clinton did a great job reaching across the aisle, working with Republicans, and he did. He certainly made some mistakes, but he did. And I think Michelle Obama would be the best president this country's ever had. I really believe that. And there's been some really good presidents, but I believe that. I believe she would help unify. I believe the spew of hatred and bigotry would be turned to the side, whereas Donald Trump gave those people a platform to be comfortable in their bigotry and racism. So I ask Michelle Obama, please, I know you don't want to run. I know it's not something you want to do. I know you want to stay out of politics. I know you don't want to be anywhere near the White House. Do it for the country. I'm begging you, do it for the country. I hope Joe Biden wins. Again, I guarantee you if Michelle Obama put her name in the ring, so to speak, Joe Biden would step aside. I believe it is the only candidate where Joe Biden would say, okay, it's your turn now. I really believe he would do that. He's not going to do it for some of these other people. He would do it for Michelle Obama and also his personal relationship with Barack Obama and the Obama family. I believe Joe Biden would do it, and it would be a win for the country. Notice how I'm not saying it would be a win for Democrats. It would be a win for the country. It would protect our democracy, and it would bring the country together. And you wouldn't hear rumblings from people on the right. Oh, Michelle Obama, she's a sexual predator. She sniffs children's hairs, and she's in the bunker, and she's too old. What could Republicans use? I mean, I know what they could use. They'd probably go after the fact that she's black, because it seems like that's what the MAGA base does. But What could they complain about when it comes to Michelle Obama? Look at what she accomplished even when she was the first lady, compared to Melania Trump, who built her tennis courts and changed the rugs in the White House. Michelle Obama and nutrition and what she did for, kids when it came to lunch and eating healthy and working out and promoting a healthy lifestyle. Look at all the things that Michelle Obama accomplished when she was first lady. It really is incredible, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to open up the phone lines now. I haven't even gotten to Roger Stone yet. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. I haven't even begun to speak about Roger Stone and his plot to allegedly assassinate some members in office that happen to be Democrats. Folks, it's unbelievable. I'm going to open up the phone lines now, and I'm going to ask you these questions. First of all, what are your thoughts on Michelle Obama? I think she would win in a landslide. I don't think there's any chance that any Republican would literally have any chance to beat her. She's been making the rounds the last couple days, talking about how worried she is about the upcoming 2024 election. Michelle, for the country, man, run for president. What are your thoughts on that? And we're also talking about Donald Trump's ridiculous, unhinged interview he did on Lindell TV. Number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation is 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you'd like to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-SAVE, 702-221-7283. And we take all sorts of different calls on this show: Republicans, Democrats, MAGA supporters, liberals, you name it. And want to get your thoughts on that. What are your thoughts on Michelle Obama? I think as a Republican, any Republican out there that doesn't agree with, the values of the Democratic Party, Michelle Obama is a huge threat. I think she'd be great for the country, but I think she's a huge threat. Okay, 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. 702-221-SAVE. Let's start off with Carl. Carl, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind, my friend?
Yeah, Brian. Hi. As far as Michelle goes, there wouldn't even be a race. It would be such a huge landslide. It would be, nobody could even run against her.
I agree.
She'd pick up votes from every angle, moderates, liberals, blacks, whatever. I mean, she'd sweep the field. And as far as you talked about Lindell before, Lindell TV or whatever the hell it is, he is one of the biggest con men in the world. He has enough rating for the Better Business Bureau. He was in every big box store there was at one time with My Pillow, until he started cheating all the customers who ordered them by not sending them, or they ordered two and he'd send one. And that's why Trump likes to. They get along well together because they're both world-class con men.
They are. You're not going to hear an argument from me. And
it's true.
Here's what I think about Mike Lindell, Carl, and you could tell me whether you agree or not. So I believe that Lindell associated himself with Donald Trump and the election lies about in the 2020 election. He did that because he thought it would be great self-promotion for his pillows. He got involved with Donald Trump, and he did all these interviews on Fox News and CNN and all these other interviews. And I believe he did that because he thought it would be really good business for himself. But I believe it also backfired on him, just like it did with Rudy Giuliani and many of those around Donald Trump, that it backfired. They thought that it would help their business and it would raise their profile. And in the end, it actually hurt Mike Lindell. He actually lost a lot of money, and he just filed for bankruptcy. That's what I think.
Well, have you noticed that almost anybody who associates themselves with Trump ends up in the thing in the bathroom that you flush? Because, well, it's true. Yeah. Look at his cabinet. I mean, his cabinet that he had, 80% of them were either indicted, found guilty of crimes, sentenced to certain prison terms, pleaded guilty. His whole cabinet was people who associated with him, all ended up down the you-know-what.
You're not going to hear. You're not going to hear an argument from me. Anybody that surrounds themselves and associates themselves with Donald Trump easily either ends up a convicted felon, or files for bankruptcy, goes to jail, or gets screwed out of a money deal. He is a toxic person and probably one of the most dangerous people in this country, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. And I think it's the end of our democracy if he's elected in 2024. Carl, I got to run. Yep, go ahead.
You got it.
Thank you, Carl.
That's okay.
Appreciate it, Carl. Thank you so much. 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you'd like to be a part of the conversation, that is 702-221-7283. Let's go to Krista, who is next up on Pushing the Limits. Hello, Krista. Krista, are you there? Did we lose Krista?
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, I'm here.
Okay, go right
Sorry.
ahead. That's okay. Go ahead.
That's
okay.
Thank you for taking my call. I love your show.
Oh, well, thank you, Krista. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I love listening to you.
Thank you.
Yes, 100%. I never thought about Michelle Obama, but you are so correct. She would be amazing.
Yeah, this is the thing, though. It's like, she's talking about how worried she is. And trust me, a lot of us feel that way. I feel that way.
I feel that way too.
Yeah. And listen, I also understand that, she doesn't want to run for office. She doesn't want to be back in the White House. She wants to stay out of political life. And I also understand that. I really do. I'm very understanding. But I wonder if she's had those conversations with her husband, because I would guarantee you she probably has.
I was going to say, I bet they have.
Yeah, and listen, I love Michelle Obama. I have a tremendous amount of respect for her, right? She's educated, she's smart, she's well-spoken. I do believe she's genuine. She cares. She's a good mother. She's a good wife. She has all the character traits that I see in somebody that would run for office that I would vote for. But I feel like she has to make a sacrifice. I know this is not something she wants to do. She has an opportunity to change history. She has an opportunity to not only be the first female president and a woman of color, but she has an opportunity to change the course in this country, the bigotry and the hatred. And I wish that she could put aside her personal feelings about, running for office and maybe make a sacrifice. And listen, it's a big sacrifice. It puts your family through hell. I get that.
It's huge.
Yeah,
it's huge.
I get that. But at the same time, if she's talking about how terrified she is, which I believe her, that when she says that, maybe people need to talk to her. I wonder what would happen if Joe Biden visited the Obamas, and Joe Biden looked at Michelle and said, "Michelle, I want you to run. If you run for president, I'm going to step aside." I have a feeling that if Joe did that, Michelle would run. I just don't think Joe would do that.
I don't know, but I think you're 100% right. I loved her when President Obama was in office, and I mean, and he did a lot for our country.
Yeah.
You did not. I brought this point up to my daughter, who I'm getting registered to vote real quick.
Oh, good.
When he was in office, do you remember any kind of such hatred and violence and division? And he was African American.
Right.
We didn't have all this hate in this country.
Yeah, you're
In
right.
fact,
You're right. And a lot of the Republicans want to blame Barack Obama for Black Lives Matter protests too. And
of course.
And I don't believe Barack Obama incited any of that stuff.
No.
But
no.
Do I think Barack Obama maybe could have done and listen, I love Barack Obama. Do I think maybe he could have done a better job with racial divide, and maybe he could have done a little bit more? Sure, any president could, but Barack Obama brought decency into the White House, respect, decency.
Yes.
He wasn't, by the way, somebody that's not on the Epstein list. Barack Obama, Joe Biden,
Exactly.
Barack Obama, they're not on that list. They're weren't hanging. And why is it? Why is it that every Republican, not every Republican, I shouldn't say that. Why is it that so many MAGA Republicans, when you disagree with them on something, they want to call you a pedophile? Why is that? I don't even know. It's so strange.
I've noticed that. It's sickening. Oh, and let me also interject this. Jimmy Kimmel also is not on that list.
Yeah, he's not. And Aaron Rodgers is a buffoon, okay? He is a stupid buffoon. And somebody needs to take off all that tinfoil off his hat. That guy is such a douchebag.
I couldn't believe that when I saw that. But anyway, I was so glad to see Jimmy's response. I watched it on video.
And I love Jimmy Kimmel. I've had a chance to meet and talk with Jimmy Kimmel. He started in radio in Las Vegas. He's got his comedy club here. I love that guy. And Aaron Rodgers is a piece of turd, is what he is.
For him to spout off something that he
you're right.
had no knowledge of, And that's what gets me about the other side extremists, that they spout all this stuff and they have no proof.
You know what else? And you know what else is interesting? There are a lot of MAGA Trumpers out there, or Aaron Rodgers, water boys that seem to think that, oh, Jimmy Kimmel can't take a joke. Let me tell you something, and I don't have to tell you this. You know this. When Jimmy Kimmel makes a joke about Donald Trump's hair or makes a joke about something stupid that Marjorie Taylor Greene said, that's a fine line between doing that and what Aaron Rodgers did and basically saying Jimmy Kimmel's a pedophile. There's a difference.
Exactly.
And it's a line you don't cross, and I'm happy that the ESPN executives have called out Aaron Rodgers. He is a disgusting turd is what he is.
I didn't hear the rest of the story, but ESPN called him out.
Yes, they did. The executives were embarrassed by what he said, and I don't think he's going to be making many more appearances on that show. Hey, it's good to hear from you. Thank you so much for the compliments, and I appreciate you calling in, okay?
I love your show.
Thank
Keep doing it. Keep getting a good word out there.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for calling in. Take care of yourself. Thank you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call in again if you'd like to be a part of the conversation. 702-221-SAVE, even though I can't save all of you. I try, but I can't. This is always interesting. Let's go to Julie, who's next on Pushing the Limits. Hello, Julie. Good afternoon.
Hello. Good afternoon. Brian, saying that Obama was one of the best presidents in the United States is totally ridiculous because
who said
the
that?
press never
that?
Reported what Obama did.
Wait, did I say that? Wait, hold on. Let's backtrack again.
Okay.
Did I say?
I'm not gonna. Okay, to me, Obama is behind Joe Biden because Joe Biden is not ruling this country. And if you think that Joe Biden is ruling this country, you are a fool.
Okay, so let's talk. Okay, so first, hold on. Let's do one thing at a time.
Okay.
One thing at a time. Let's try to. First of all, I never said that Barack Obama was the best president of all time, so that's fake news. I never made that statement. That's number one. Do I think he was a good president? Yes. I never said he was the best president of all time, so let's fact check you right there. Number two, you just said that Joe Biden is the worst and he's destroyed this country. I think that was the verbiage that you just used. Can you name me some policies that, based on what Joe Biden has done when he's in office, that you think have, quote, destroyed the country? Give me one policy and then let's talk about it.
Open borders.
Okay, that's not a policy. Joe Biden didn't enter the president.
Open borders.
Hold on. Julie, listen now. I asked you for a policy. Are you claiming that when Joe Biden took office in 2020, that he started a policy called open borders? I asked you for a specific policy because when you say something like open borders, that's a general term. By the way, we don't have wide open borders. If you want to talk about how things could be better at the border, I'm happy to talk to you about that. So let me go back to my question, Julie, and then I'm happy to listen to you answer. Give me a specific policy. Open borders was not a policy. Give me a policy.
Okay. Biden removed the First Entry Resettlement Act on day one.
He removed the what?
The First Entry Resettlement Act on day one.
I don't understand. I'm sorry.
Are you familiar with that?
I didn't understand what you said. Can you say it a little slower?
First Entry Resettlement Act.
Okay, explain to me the details in that act. Explain to me what is in that act.
I'm going to explain to you. Okay.
Please do.
When Trump was in office, he passed the First Entry Resettlement Act, which is when you come from Africa, right, and you travel to Venezuela, and if you are an asylum seeker, you should stay there. And Biden removed that. Under Trump, when you are coming from any country and you stop in Colombia, Venezuela, or Nicaragua, or Suriname, you need to stay there. You cannot come here.
Okay, so you don't want asylum seekers. I understand. So you're saying you don't like the policy that Joe Biden has implemented, where you don't want asylum seekers coming into this country and trying to save the lives and the lives of their family.
Those are not asylum seekers, because if you are an asylum seeker, you should stay in Venezuela.
Okay, well, it's not so
You're
easy.
You're coming from Nigeria.
Okay, so you think all right? So your characterization of Biden ruining the country is you don't want asylum seekers coming into the country. Okay, so Julie, let me give you a little bit of history. Okay, hold on, Julie. It's my turn now. We've had issues at the border for decades and decades and decades. We've had a border crisis for decades and decades and decades. We've had drugs, illegal drugs, crossing the border for decades and decades and decades. However, the overwhelming majority of people that are undocumented in this country are not people that cross the border illegally, even though so many MAGA supporters like yourself would lead people to believe that that's the case. It's not. It's people that overstay their visas. This is not a Joe Biden problem or a Donald Trump problem. It's an American problem. So now I'm going to ask you for a second example of how Joe Biden is ruining the country, and I will retort it by saying we have the lowest unemployment rate in 50 years. Gasoline prices have continued to go down. Inflation has continued to go down. Serious crimes, murders across the country have continued to go down. And if you look at the numbers don't lie, Julie. So give me another reason.
No, I don't rely on a statistic. I'm more pragmatic, okay? Because statistics.
So if you don't rely on statistics, Julie, if you don't rely on statistics, then why do you talk about all the illegals that are crossing the border?
It's illegal because I'm watching the clips.
No.
Yes,
Answer the question. If you don't rely,
I'm watching the people
if you don't rely on
coming from Panama,
crossing
the jungle, the dairy.
So if you don't rely on statistics, you're claiming that you believe all these people are crossing the border illegally by what you watch on TV with your own eyes. Julie, that makes absolutely no sense.
Seekers. Those are not asylum seekers. I support legal immigration. I came from Cuba legally. I brought my family legally. I pay for my family and for myself.
Hey, Julie, that's great. Julie, that's great. I'm glad you entered the country.
I have to present my background.
Julie,
because I want the best people to come here. I don't want criminals. I don't want terrorists. I don't want rapists. I don't want drug traffickers.
Put her down again. Hey, Julie. I'm going to give you another stat that you obviously are ignorant to, Julie. Are you aware that per capita, you have a better chance of being the victim of a crime by a legal citizen than somebody that is illegal? And your ignorant rhetoric that somehow if somebody crosses the border illegally that they're going to rape you or your children is absurd, and that's the same stupid rhetoric that so many of the MAGA Republicans spread. Are you aware of those actual real statistics that you have a better chance of being the victim of a crime by a U.S. citizen? Are you aware of that?
According to who? That's not an accurate data.
Okay, yeah, but all right. So first of all, there's data that you can look up. First of all, you have no idea what you're talking about because every single person that is convicted of a crime, there's statistics that go with that, whether that person is legal or illegal. But yet you want to talk about statistics and facts, yet you continue to say that Donald Trump won the 2020 election, yet you want to try to preach to me about data? You want to talk about hypocritical, Julie. You still think Donald Trump won the 2020 election.
Do you think that the governor who is a Republican in Georgia who won, do you think that lost Georgia? And we have a Republican governor in Georgia? You are a fool if you think.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
You don't know what I'm talking about. You're
the one who believes
the governor. Who is the governor in Georgia?
What does that have to do with this conversation? What is
the governor? You are telling me that Trump didn't win the election. Trump won the election. You like it or not?
Based on what? Based on what?
Based on what? To be exposed very soon. The evidence is going to be presented very soon.
The evidence is okay. Pot her down again. So according to Julie, Trump won the 2020 election, and they've had 4 years to present evidence. But Julie's claim is they're going to get the evidence really soon. Julie, do you realize how ridiculous you sound? If there was a smoking gun, hold on a second. Listen to me for a second. Just try to listen to me for a moment. If you're capable, just listen. If there was a smoking gun like you claim, and Donald Trump won the 2020 election, and now you call into a radio show and say, well, the evidence is going to come soon. Julie, it's been 4 years. If there was any real evidence that there was widespread voter fraud that could have changed the outcome of the election, we would have seen it by now. How is it possible that you still believe that there's evidence out there that hasn't been presented? How on earth could you even believe something like that?
Can you allow me to speak?
You've been on the air with me now for over 6 minutes, and I want to get 6 minutes of my life back. But
Yes.
say something
yes.
that is actually factually accurate, because not one thing you've said in this call is accurate.
Well, Penn said that there were irregularities in. There is a case that we're never.
What irregularities? What are you talking about? What irregularities? Where? What was it proven? Where were irregularities been proven? You see, hold on.
The case has never been.
What case? What are you talking about? Potter down again.
Never.
You drive me crazy. You use this term, irregularity. I think there's irregularities in your brain. That's what I think. Just because somebody says there were irregularities, that's not evidence. What is wrong with you? I'm trying to get to you, Julie. I'm trying to help you, but I don't think you can be saved. Just because somebody says there were irregularities doesn't prove anything. It wasn't been proven in a courtroom.
Really?
Really? Where was it? Where was it proven? Was it proven in a courtroom? What are you talking about?
The case has not been allowed to be heard on.
What are you talking about? What irregularities? Where? What are you talking about?
Google Colorado.
I'm not going to. There's no proven irregularities anywhere. It hasn't been proven in a courtroom. It hasn't been proven anywhere. What happens is people like you, Julie, you listen to Newsmax and Lindell TV and OAN, and when they get a guest on who's selling a book and somebody uses the term like a Mike Lindell, there's irregularities. I'm going to have a symposium. Look at all these irregularities. People like you believe it, even though nothing has been proven in a courtroom. It will never be proven, and it's been 4 years. Why don't you get over it and admit what everyone else really, truly understands?
Keep doing what you best do.
What?
Keep silencing me.
What are you talking about? Okay, I'll tell you what. I'm going to give you a chance now to answer this question. And I'm not silencing you. I take your call every day, so stop it. Oh, please. You say stupid things every time you call in. Okay, so where is the evidence that there were irregularities? Where's the evidence? Where has it been proven?
Colorado, LA.
Wrong. It hasn't been proven. Wrong. You say things and you don't have no idea what you...
It has been proven.
Really? What courtroom? Over what judge that was presiding? Irregularities.
Arizona.
What judge? What case? Tell me.
Judicial watch retirement with LA, Colorado, Pennsylvania.
I didn't ask you the state. I didn't ask you the state. I asked you for the case. In what courtroom was it proven that there was widespread voter fraud in a state where Donald Trump won? Go.
You can do a better job investigating.
No. I'm asking you. You're the one. Julie. Hey, Julie, I need you to focus now. Julie, stop. That means Julie. This is why I interrupt you. I didn't ask you what state. What I specifically asked you was what judge and what specific case was proven in a courtroom that somehow Donald Trump won the election in that state. I am asking you to give me the actual case.
If there is one single case of fraud in this country, that requires the review of
have a nice day. All right, Julie, have a nice day. I appreciate you calling in. I guess I'm going to silence you now because you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. By the way, one case of voter fraud doesn't mean that Donald Trump won the 2020 election. If you're referring to one case of voter fraud in Colorado, that wouldn't have overturned the outcome of the election. That's what we're talking about. You made the case that there was widespread voter fraud. You just made the case in this state, in that state. And then when I ask you which case and which judge presided over it, you don't name anything. You just say, do your search and do your Google, because you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. There was no proof of widespread voter fraud. Could there have been one vote that might have been fraudulent? That doesn't mean that the election would have been overturned. How do you not understand that? Holy jamoki. Is that even a word? I gave Julie 6-7 minutes and I want my life back. Actually, I lasted with her a lot longer than Donald Trump lasted with Stormy Daniels. I want to be very clear on that, though.
Wasn't she giving you a bunch of stats?
Yeah, she gave me a bunch of stats. Colorado. You know who she sounded like? We're going to Pennsylvania. We're going to Colorado to take back the White House. Ah! Anyway, let's take another call. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. I think we might have another MAGA on the line. Let's go to Patrick. Patrick is next on Pushing the Limits. Thanks for calling in, Patrick. Is Patrick next? Yeah, Patrick is next. Hello, Patrick. Are you there?
Yeah, what's happening, Brian?
What's up, Patrick?
Months ago, for many months now, Roger Stone, I think Tucker Carlson, a lot of MAGA people, right-wing people, you would say, have talked about Michelle Obama going to enter into this race possibly, which is kind of mind-numbing, or even hearing you talk about it's very interesting considering Obama's the most popular president in history with 81 million votes. He obviously has a strong economy. Gas prices are down. The stock market's up. I mean, everybody thinks things are so great. Why do we want Michelle Obama to run when obviously Joe Biden's doing such a great job?
Sure. So I will gladly answer your question, and I will also say you just sourced a guy, Roger Stone, who put together a plot to assassinate a member of Congress. So your sources are very, very good, Patrick.
Yeah.
I know you think that's all funny and that's all a laugh. No, Patrick, I know you think I know you think this is funny when somebody is caught on tape saying that they're planning to maybe assassinate a Democrat sitting congressman. I know you think that's really funny, but guess what? It ain't funny to me, but I'm still going to answer your question. I'll tell you the differences, just some of them, between Michelle Obama and Donald Trump. She's Harvard educated. Hold on, no.
Biden.
No. Okay.
Biden is your president. If he's doing so good, then why do you need Michelle Obama to step in? And why is she worried if everything's doing so great?
I'll answer your question. I'll answer your question if you will allow me to. I think Michelle Obama would be a better president. I think she would resonate with this country much better. She's younger. She's more vibrant. I think she's more intelligent. Not that I think Joe Biden is a bad person, but I think Michelle Obama would wipe the floor clean with Donald Trump. That's why. I just gave you 5 reasons. Do you disagree with any of those?
Well, obviously, Joe Biden is losing in the polls, so obviously you're panicking.
Okay, well, guess what? Were you yelling to high heavens that Hillary Clinton was winning in the polls in 2016, or now all of a sudden you believe in polls? I'm asking you a question, Patrick.
Do I believe it?
Did you call into shows in 2016?
Look, I don't take much credibility in the polls.
Okay, so why are you mentioning it?
So why? The sample.
Thank you. So why are you mentioning polls then?
Even CNN polls, MSNBC, all the swing states, Biden is losing.
Hey, Patrick.
And Democrats are freaking out.
Patrick.
They're looking for a new candidate.
Patrick.
Biden's not going to make it to the election.
Patrick.
He's going to step down.
Patrick.
Yep.
Listen to what I'm
y'all
saying.
Y'all are losing and y'all are panicking. Y'all are freaking out, and I love it. I love seeing it, man.
Patrick, you're the one freaking out, not letting me talk, okay? You just mentioned polls, okay? And then I just mentioned basically in every swing state in 2016, they had Hillary defeating Donald Trump. Why is it that now you want to talk about polls, but in 2016 you didn't believe any of the polls? Maybe because it's politically convenient for you, Patrick. Let me tell you something. Joe Biden is going to make it. People like you said the first year.
I'm also talking about this.
People like you.
About the sentiment. I'm talking about.
You called into this show 2 years ago and you said Joe Biden wasn't going to make it another year. You were wrong, and you're going to be wrong again.
I never called you 2 years ago. I didn't know this show 2 years ago.
You called into this show.
I'll tell you what. I am totally shocked that guy can stumble around and still be the president of the United States and can't complete a full sentence. It's shocking.
Did you listen to his speech? Okay, so let's go with that, Patrick, for a moment. You just said Joe Biden can't complete a sentence. Hey, Patrick, did you happen to listen to Joe Biden's speech over the weekend? I'm just curious because Donald Trump's big speech last month, he said that you needed ID to buy bread. He said that Jeb Bush got us into the war in Iraq. He said he defeated Barack Obama. But I didn't hear you ever saying that Donald Trump can't complete a sentence. Funny, I listened to Joe Biden's speech over the weekend, and he actually completed every sentence. So I'm wondering where you're getting those right-wing Tucker Carlson talking points from. Is it Tucker? Is it Sean Hannity? Is it OAN or Newsmax? Or is it Lindell TV? Because last I checked, Joe Biden can put a sentence together. In fact, he can put a 30-minute speech together, which he just did over the weekend, and it's another stupid right-wing talking point by Patrick. That's what it is.
The last time he had a press conference and took questions from reporters, he can't take questions.
Okay, so let's go with that. Let's go with that. I'm so glad you brought that up, Patrick. Are you aware that when Donald Trump was president of the United States, he went 14 months without doing a press conference? Were you calling into radio stations complaining, why hasn't Donald Trump done a press conference? Are you aware that over 25% of his presidency, Donald Trump didn't hold one press conference? Are you aware of that, Patrick? And were you complaining about that? Yes or no? Because Joe Biden hadn't gone 14 months in his presidency.
Joe Biden hadn't been on a press
I
conference.
didn't
for over
ask you.
14 months.
I didn't ask you about Joe Biden. Are you
Okay.
aware that no?
Hey,
No, don't.
Okay.
Don't hey me. Are you aware that Donald Trump went 14 months during his presidency without holding a press conference? Yes or no?
You're ignoring the 30-minute conversation.
I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you that same. I'm going to ask you. Sorry, my producer's doing a good job in potting you down every 3 seconds because you don't answer my questions. I'm going to ask you one more time. Joe Biden has not gone 14 months without holding a press conference. I'm sorry if you think that he's not holding enough press conferences so MAGA idiots like you can call into radio shows and lie and say he can't put a sentence together. I'm gonna say it again. Donald Trump went 14 months. No, don't hey me. Donald Trump went 14 months without holding a press conference. He complained about Barack Obama playing golf, and Trump played more golf in four years than Obama played in 8. But I don't hear you complaining about that. Patrick, I think you're in the bunker. Are you unaware of actual facts? I think Patrick's in the bunker. Patrick, I don't think you can put a sentence together. You sound like you have Alzheimer's, Patrick, and stop sniffing little girls' hair. Have a nice day, Patrick. You frickin' idiot. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Again, 702-221-7283. Who are we going to next here? Oh, boy. Back-to-back MAGA callers get my blood pressure rising. Let's go to Joyce. Joyce is next on Pushing the Limits. Hi, Joyce.
I'm laughing here. Yes, Patrick is pretty bad, but do us all a favor and don't take calls from Julie anymore. She calls every show and she drives me crazy.
She drives me crazy too. But I try to.
Just don't answer the phone for her.
Well,
silence her like she accuses you of.
I respect your criticism. I will say this. There's a little part of me, Joyce, that enjoys destroying MAGA callers. There's a part of me that actually, I actually get a little bit of a kick out of it. Now, sometimes I get a little frustrated. I love it when Patrick calls in. Julie is difficult at times. I guess what gets me frustrated is, a guy calls into his show and says, Joe Biden's not doing any press conferences, which, by the way, is not true. And then Trump goes 14 months without doing a press conference, but Patrick is completely ignorant to facts.
But at least he doesn't call every show, does he?
No, he doesn't call every show. No, I get a good mix of callers, and I do like that. I don't want everybody to call in that agrees with me. That would be boring, right?
Yeah, and Julie's got him boring.
Well, it's
what
frustrating.
I do want to say,
go ahead,
with Michelle Obama, I love Michelle Obama, and yeah, I think she'd be a great president. But I think it's very unfair to force this on her. She doesn't want it.
Oh, I don't want her to be forced. I don't want anybody to force her. I just wish, my dream, Joyce, is that Joe Biden and his wife would take a trip to the Obamas and have a conversation with her, because I believe that might be the only thing that would work as long as her husband gave her the okay. It's a sacrifice, it's a sacrifice. Now,
I wouldn't want to be president.
No, I mean, to Donald Trump, it wasn't really a sacrifice. He did it because he wanted to build his brand, and it was all about him, and he's a narcissist. But if Michelle Obama did it, it would actually be for the country. I do believe that. And again, that last caller calls in, why do you want Michelle Obama to run? Well, I named a couple pretty important things. She's extremely intelligent, very well educated, very classy, very well spoken. And I believe she would bring the country together. You don't hear her calling people
and she's
names.
Smart.
Yeah.
She's smart enough not to want to be president.
Well, listen, I don't blame her. I'm not saying I'm blaming her. All I'm saying is if she truly is terrified, maybe consider it, again. I'm not saying she hasn't considered it before. That's all I'm saying. I understand. I wouldn't want to be in that position either.
No.
But boy, would she be a great president. She really would.
I'm sure she would, but, we're all scared. But I just think that's unfair to her. You got to want to take a job like this.
When I hear her say that she's terrified, I just wish she would reconsider. That's all I'm saying. And I believe her when she says she's terrified. I think we all are, right, to an extent.
Yeah.
I believe people ask me this question all the time, Joyce. Can you name me one person that hands down would win, landslide, Democrat? It's Michelle Obama. I couldn't name you one other person right now that I think, hands down, I would say Trump has a 0% chance to beat. The only person is Michelle Obama. That's just my
I
opinion.
don't know. I think there's a lot of people who could beat Trump, and I don't
Tell
believe
me.
these polls for a minute.
Well, tell me. I mean, I do think Joe Biden's going to beat him, but like, tell me, give me a couple names that you think would defeat Donald Trump.
Gavin Newsom. But you know what? We don't need anybody else. We got Joe Biden. He did a good job.
Sure.
We just all need to get behind him.
Listen, if it's Joe Biden versus Donald Trump, I have been very clear. It's not even a thought. Of course I'm going to support Joe Biden. All I'm saying is there's a reason why most people in this country don't want to see Biden versus Trump. It's because, at least from Biden's perspective, he is kind of old. We probably want somebody in there a little bit younger. I'm getting sick of these right-wing attacks on him. He's this, he's that. We need somebody more young and vibrant. I don't know if Gavin Newsom would defeat Donald Trump. I don't know. Obviously, I would support him.
It's about abortion.
Sure. That's
abortion and democracy are on the ballot.
Let me ask you a question. How many abortions do you think Donald Trump was a part of?
Well, there's a lot of skeletons in that man's closet. I have no doubt in my mind.
I would say dozens. I'm just going to throw that out.
Oh, yeah.
There. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you, Joyce. Thank you so much for calling in, and thank you for being a better caller than Julie. All due respect to Julie. I appreciate the call. Thank you.
And please don't answer the phone for Julie. She's really annoying. I can't listen to her anymore.
Well, some people feel the same way about me, but they still listen and call in. So what are you going to do? Joyce, I appreciate your call.
What are you going to do?
Thank you, Joyce.
All right, thank you.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
one. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. We have some people on hold. We'll get to all of you. Stay patient. 702-221-7283. Antonio is next, I believe, right? Hi, Antonio. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hi, Brian. Hope you're doing well. I was just wondering, because I used to listen when you were on the air with, I believe his name was JD, when you first started doing the Vegas take.
Yeah,
and you guys.
Yep. So I start just to give you a little bit of background. I started the Vegas take on my own about 9 years ago, and yes, you're right. He was my host for a couple of years. You are correct.
Yes, and then I was just wondering because it started off really cordial with you two, and then out of nowhere, well, not out of nowhere, but JD started acting really different. And it just brings me to this Barack Obama interview that he did a while ago, where politics is kind of like a pendulum, as far as the presidents go, where if you have somebody way right, it'll kind of make anything that's even moderate seem super far left. And that's where I feel like all of the Republicans are kind of saying everything is radical left when it's really moderate. Is because their perspective is skewed. So how do you figure we get more towards the middle and find a middle ground between everybody? Is that even possible?
Really good question, Antonio. And here's the best way I can answer that. We need more moderate people in office. We need more people that are willing to reach across the aisle. We need more people that don't have extremist views. We need more people that are not far left. I respect Bernie Sanders, but he's way to the left. We need more people that are middle-grounded people. And until we have that, I don't think we're going to have that sort of relationship with that other side of the aisle. A lot of people characterize Joe Biden as a liberal on the right. I don't think he's a liberal at all. I don't think he's a far lefty. But at the same time, we need more middle-grounded people. I mean, and I think that's the only way we're going to get there, my friend. And, Republicans and Democrats, I think those are the two worst words in this country, because many Republicans and Democrats do more what's best for their party, not what's best for the country. And that's why things never get done in Washington.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And so, I voted for 8 Republicans in the 2022 midterms, and I'm happy to say they were all moderate Republicans, and they were middle ground type people that I respect very much. Even somebody like Liz Cheney, who is way far to the right on her voting record, I still have respect for her. I have respect for her. I have respect for Mitt Romney. I have respect for Adam Kinzinger, because when push came to shove, they didn't put their political careers first. They put what's best for the country first. And I'll always respect Liz Cheney for doing that. Sadly, the Republican Party today, if you speak truth, they out you out of the party. I mean, that's where the Republican Party is at today.
Yeah.
But as far as what you said earlier, I'm very happy I'm out of that situation, and I'm at a wonderful station now where the people here are great. And imagine, all due respect to Julie, because she sounds a lot nicer than other people that I've worked with on the radio. But imagine doing a 2-hour show with Julie every day. That's kind of what I had to deal with. So I'm happy that I'm not in that situation anymore. If that makes sense, my friend.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I'm glad you're happier, man. I'm proud of you.
Thanks, dude. Well, I appreciate you calling in, and you call back anytime, and I appreciate you, man. Thank you for those kind words. I appreciate it. Take care. 702-221-7283. That is true, ladies and gentlemen. I used to do a radio show with somebody that was the male version of Julie. 702-221-7283. Actually, I like Julie better. I actually think I could probably grab a beer with Julie and we wouldn't scream at each other. 702, maybe. I don't know. 702-221-7283. It depends on how many beers I had. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Roy. Roy is next up on Pushing the Limits. What's up, Roy?
Hey, Brian. How you doing today?
Good. What's up, Roy? What's on your mind?
Well, there's a lot on my mind, but you won't have time for all of it. But a couple of things I do want to say. One of the biggest problems out there, of course, we know is Donald Trump, but it's the entire Republican Party who, even though they hate him, support him. Mm-hmm. People like Elise Stefanik, Mike Johnson, who are still claiming that the election was stolen and that Joe Biden did not win the election. This is the kind of crap that allows people like Julie and Patrick to say what they say. Mm-hmm. The entire Republican Party, except for a handful, has turned to crap. And I'm not a Democrat. I'm truly independent. Mm-hmm. I pretty much hate everybody. But truthfully, the two-party system has turned to crap. You can't have this two-party system anymore. It doesn't work. All the Republicans vote one way, the Democrats vote the other way. Nobody represents their constituents anymore.
You're absolutely right. And you know what a perfect example is Joe Biden and the Democrats putting together some funds that they want to help the border crisis. And you know, Republicans will complain about the border till the cows come home. But then when Joe Biden puts a budget together to try to put more money and assets to help at the border, Republicans vote against it. So I think the majority of the Republicans that talk about the border don't really care about the border. They just want Joe Biden out of office.
Well, again, the problem with the two-party system is you really can't get very much accomplished, because there is so much pressure for Republicans to vote with the Republicans and for Democrats to vote with the Democrats. Yeah. You really need either more parties, or my preference would be no political parties. Everybody run on your own merit. Do away with the stupid electoral college.
Yeah, that's
have 4, 5, 6 people run, and the top 2 people, if no one gets 50%, top 2 people have a runoff. Yeah. Get rid of these parties. You can't, and think how much money you would save by not having. You wouldn't even need 435 people in the House. Yeah. It's a waste of money. And this whole filibuster rule where you need 60 votes is more crap. You'll never get anything real accomplished.
Unfortunately, it's never going to happen, but I agree with everything you just said. In a perfect world, I would be totally on board with that. You know, I just said it a couple minutes ago, and I'll say it again. The 2 worst words in this country, in my opinion, are Republican and Democrat. But I will say this to defend Democrats. I will say this. When you talk about solutions, I hear solutions from the left. Gun control, health care, minimum wage, you name it, taxes. I hear solutions. Doesn't mean everybody has to agree. I don't hear anything today from Republicans when it comes to gun control. They want more guns in our schools, give our teachers guns. They'll talk about drag queen reading more than they'll talk about gun control. They complain about Obamacare, but they have no replacement plan. I don't hear any solutions from the far right today when it comes to anything. I don't think they're policymakers. I think they're noisemakers. At least the Democrats have a plan. At least they have some solutions. Doesn't mean we have to agree with it all the time, but at least they try to come up with solutions to help the American people, while Republicans just bitch and complain, and Jim Jordan is the poster child for that.
Don't even mention his name. But I do tend to lean more Democrat than Republican. Well, you have to today. I mean, really, unless there's something wrong with you. But there are so many other things that this country needs. The entire tax system in this country, which is run by the very wealthy, favors them. Yeah. And not just the wealthy, the ultra-wealthy. Right. I could tell you one thing that I guarantee you 95% of your listeners would not even believe. A quick example. 55-year-old man buys $100 million worth of stock. Mm-hmm. At 7.2%, money doubles every 10 years. Mm-hmm. Stock market usually does a little better than 7. But using that as an example, 10 years down the road at age 65, that $100 million portfolio was worth $200. 10 years later at age 75, it's worth $400 million. Mm-hmm. Man passes away and leaves the stock to his son. His son gets $400 million in stock. Says, wow, I'm going to sell the stock and get $400 million. How much capital gains tax does he pay on the $400 million?
That's a good question.
The
Tell
answer
us.
is zero.
Zero.
No, I know the answer.
Yeah.
The answer is zero because they get a stepped-up basis at the time of death.
Right.
He could wait 6 months, and if it goes up to 450, he can use that as his cost basis. That's how you're keeping the income inequality in this country staggering.
The top 1%, tax breaks for the CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. And which is the party that does that? Which is the party that gives more tax breaks to the rich? I mean, I think that's a pretty easy question, and it's the Republican.
Pretty easy question.
It's the Republican Party. Donald Trump. There's a lot of intelligent people that I would consider intelligent. You can make the argument selfish, but there's some people out there that are on the right.
Oh,
they hate Donald Trump.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah, they hate Donald Trump,
They do.
but they'll vote for him just because it's more money in their bank account and they're wealthy people.
Yeah.
Obviously,
well, that's why once you get to Congress, you become a millionaire.
You're right about that too. That's another problem that we're dealing with. We got a lot of problems in this country. There's still, not many other countries in the world I'd rather live in, but at the same time, I am worried. I share Michelle Obama's sentiment. I am terrified as well. I still think that Joe Biden holds the edge, but I'm getting worried. And I like Joe Biden's speech over the weekend. I think he needs to do more of that. He needs to be more aggressive. And I think if we see that Joe Biden, then he's going to be okay. But I think he needs to do more of that.
Well, the more you listen to Donald Trump, the scarier it gets.
You're not going to hear an argument from me there, my friend. Roy, I appreciate the phone call, my friend. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Appreciate you. Take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye-bye. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. And again, if you'd like to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-SAVE. Wow, we've covered a lot here. We've covered the former First Lady, Michelle Obama, her statements in a podcast where she said she's terrified about what could take place in the 2024 elections. We talked about another unhinged interview by Donald Trump, this time on Lindell TV. I didn't even know Lindell TV still existed. Him and his crappy pillows still exist. Deranged Donald Trump, who is saying that the only way Democrats can win is if they cheat. They don't have enough votes. I know I'm going to win the 2024 election because when I arrive at the Florida airport to Mar-a-Lago, I see a bunch of Trump flags and more ridiculous nonsense. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Obi. Obi is next on Pushing the Limits. Hi, Obi. Thanks for calling in.
How you doing, Brian?
Good. What's on your mind, my friend?
Oh, usually rise everybody's blood pressure. But you should ask, when she talk about the election and the Georgia and the this and the that, because she don't make any sense. You should ask her, what Bill Barr told Donald Trump when Donald Trump sent him to investigate cases of fraud.
Right.
Bill Barr went back to him and told him, no fraud. Now, in Georgia, Ratzinger was a Republican,
Correct.
the
Secretary of
attorney,
State.
the state attorney general, and he didn't count the vote once, twice, but 3 times.
Right.
And then these are the truth that people like Julie don't wanna accept that. And she called you and she rant about this and she rant about that, and then she's talking about she doesn't follow statistic. Oh my God! Please give me a break.
Well, it's not just that. You make Obi. You make a very good point. Of course, Bill Barr said there was no election, no widespread voter fraud, but it wasn't just Bill Barr. It was basically everybody else around him trying to explain to the president that he did not win the election. And we're going to learn even more. People like Meadows, Hutchinson, there's so many other people around him that, and even people that have already testified that have said they told Donald Trump that he did not win the election, and even somebody that Donald Trump hired in regards to election fraud and to investigate came back with no evidence of widespread voter fraud. I mean, everybody around him was telling him this. I get this question all the time from people on and off the air. Do you think Donald Trump actually believes he won? No, I don't. Deep down inside,
of course he doesn't.
Deep down inside, Donald Trump knows he lost. His father turned him into a psychopath, an insecure nut job psychopath, and he could never admit he's lost at anything in his life. He's the most insecure child, petulant child that this country has ever seen, quite frankly, and that's saying something because there's a lot of insecure people out there, and he can't admit he's wrong about anything. I mean, I wonder, when he takes off that orange paint in front of his mirror before he goes to bed at night, what goes through his mind? I wonder. He's certainly not holding hands and kissing Melania Trump goodnight. That is certainly not a love affair. I'm not sure he's ever really felt any love in his life from his family. I really feel that way, and it's really sad. He's a sad man, and he's a despicable man. But there are plenty of insecure people out there in society that are not a danger to others. But he is. He is. Look at the people just around him that have gone. Look at Rudy Giuliani. And by the way, I don't feel bad for Rudy Giuliani because he did it to himself. This was a man who was so well respected, especially after 9/11, cleaned up New York City. People called him a hero, and he did do a great job after 9/11. Look at where this man is now, the disgrace that is Rudy Giuliani. Why? Because he decided to associate himself and do illegal things with Donald Trump. And trust me, more evidence is going to come out that they both split it 50-50 with the pardons that Donald Trump gave out. There was shenanigans going on there, and the FBI has that information, and that's going to come out as well. Giuliani is a disgrace. Donald Trump is a disgrace, and he's a cancer to this country.
It's good that you say that about Rudy Giuliani, because even before 9/11, he was the attorney for the Southern District, and he was great. You know, he was great. He did a perfect job. But then, you know, he got like they say, he drank the Kool-Aid. You know, all these people, they all in their heart, like you said, they all in their heart knows that Donald Trump lost.
Yeah, they know more than that.
Knows.
They know more than that.
Yeah,
not only do they know that Donald Trump lost, they know he's a horrible human being. They all knew it, but they decided to associate themselves around him, partly because some of these people are also horrible, despicable human beings, but they thought that it would raise their profile. They thought that it would make them money. They thought that associating themselves with Donald Trump would raise their profile and make them money. Mike Lindell is a perfect example of that. He lied for Donald Trump. He lied and lied and lied. So did Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen went to jail. Mike Lindell just filed for bankruptcy. Can't even afford his legal representation. All these people, it's a domino effect. They're going down the tubes. Why is it that nobody in Joe Biden's administration has gone to jail? From my understanding, I know that you had one person that was like stealing luggage at an airport, but I'm talking serious felony crimes. Why is it that nobody in Joe Biden's administration is in jail right now? Why is that?
This is another good point that you make. You know, don't you know if they really found something in that famous laptop? Don't you think they would be like a dog with their bones? And now to finish, because I know you have all the colors, I'm going to repeat what De Niro said. De Niro said, Donald Trump is not a bad man. He's evil.
Yeah, you're right. He
is.
He is.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. And thank you for quoting the great Robert De Niro, by the way. I interviewed him a couple years back because he's a partial owner of Nobu Restaurant, believe it or not. And we had a good conversation. Robert De Niro, incredible actor. He's certainly on the right side of history when it comes to Donald Trump, that's for sure. All right. 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you want to be a part of the conversation. We got about 10 more minutes, actually a little less than that, to take some more phone calls. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Nelson. Nelson is next on Pushing the Limits. Hi, Nelson.
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Good, doing good, Nelson. What's on your mind, my friend?
I want to say for the country, you know, the decision before the Supreme Court, you know, it's really going to test America's commitment to democracy. Mm-hmm. You know, at the end of the day, if they uphold Colorado's decision, he's not going to stop there. You know, his supporters are still going to write his name in. Yeah. They're not going to care about the rule of law. So this country, it's sad to say, is still going to have to defeat him at the ballot box.
Yeah.
You're still going to have to defeat him at the ballot box, regardless of this decision. Mm-hmm. And it's just that this is his last card to play, and news just broke. Well, it hasn't broke yet, but he's going to court again, and this was a case that was delayed when he was president. But apparently, he's going to court over for duping investors over a failed phone video technology called ACN. So this is another another example of him allegedly duping people. I guess they didn't learn from Trump University.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
I got
all
another
the
one
other
for you.
scams.
I got another one for you. I haven't heard that one, but that would not surprise me one bit. I've heard for some very credible people, and they have told me that some of the pardons that Donald Trump gave out, I think he gave out was it over 100? I don't even know how many pardons he gave out. But apparently, allegedly, the FBI has some information that he and Rudy Giuliani, and Rudy Giuliani was peddling these types of pardons, and that they split the profits 50-50, and they actually made money off of some of these pardons. I've heard that through some very credible sources that the FBI is investigating that as well. Oh, there's more coming down the pike, right? There's more coming down the pike. I mean, I know he's facing 91 felonies now. I guarantee you this. I will eat my shoes if I'm wrong. Donald Trump, in about a year from now, is going to be a convicted felon. I don't know how many felonies. He's going to be a convicted felon.
And I just want to say real quickly, because, you know, towards the end of the show,
Yep.
I know they'll still try to make hay with, you know, the Epstein's list with, you know, with Joe Biden and stuff like that, you know, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
All Joe Biden has to say is, one, if he's on a debate stage, is, you know what, this guy wants to stink up the room because it's alleged that many people within his administration complain about his body odor being so bad. And then two, he could also say, you know what, I've been on a lot of planes in my life, but the one plane I've never been on was the Epstein's private jet.
That's a good point.
Seven times that man has been on there.
Joe Biden's never been there. Barack Obama has never been there. But yet we see all these videos of Donald Trump hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. I'd like to think that everybody that knew Jeffrey Epstein pretty well probably knew what was going on. And I know Bill Clinton's on that list too. I put Bill Clinton and Donald Trump together when it comes to maybe shenanigans that were going on there. But
now, to be fair,
yeah,
to be fair with all this, no one has been, you know, accused of any wrongdoing on that list.
Yeah, but I can tell you right now, when I heard David Copperfield on that list, I was not surprised. Yeah. When I heard Alan Dershowitz, and by the way, Dershowitz is claiming that he just got a massage with his wife, and that's all that went down. I am not buying that for a second.
I know, but you know how right wing will try to play it another way for Trump and try to play it like, you know, distort reality. But at the end of the day, you know, we're still going to have to defeat the Confather at the ballot box. And
the Confather. I like that. I haven't heard that one. Can I use that? I'm going to have to use that. The Confather. I like that.
Yes. He conned everybody. He's conning the country now because he wants to listen. He's running for president not because he wants to, you know, do great things. I mean, he wants to profit off of the taxpayers because China and everyone else, you know, invested into his companies while he was president. So his foreign policy decisions was based on making money for himself.
Right.
So before he goes to potentially jail for real this time, he wants them banking more money for his company.
Right.
And before he goes to jail. And it's just, we don't need that. We need to move forward. But I really am kind of afraid as to what's going to happen if he loses again, despite
I agree.
the Supreme Court ruling against him.
I think we're in trouble whether he wins or loses. Obviously, we hope that he loses, at least you and I do. But if he loses, I agree with you. I think we're going to have another type of insurrection. And if he wins, oh, God help us, man. I'm worried, just like Michelle Obama said she's worried, you're worried. But you're right. We have to go to the ballot box, and we have to defeat the orange turd Confather. I'm going to have to start using that.
Well, look at, use the term. You have my permission.
Thank you.
And lastly, I just want to say, listen, he always paints his face orange. Well, guess what? Pretty soon, every single Halloween, the jumpsuit will match his face.
I tend to agree with you on that. At least I hope so. He is the orange turd, as I like to call him. Good to hear from you, my friend. I appreciate the phone call. You have a good day. Thank you, sir. 702. He's right. 702. Confather. Hey, I'm going to use that. Can we use some Godfather music and call him the Confather? I don't know. That might be against our YouTube regulations. I don't know. 702. I'll ask Al Pacino if I can get his permission. 702-221-7283. Enough time to take a few more calls if you want to jump in. 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Cyrus. Cyrus is next on Pushing the Limits. Hello, Cyrus.
Hey, I hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a good new year. and I just want to talk about a couple of things. The first about the state labor policy, if you're interested.
Sure.
And I wanted to respond to the guy that was a guest on your show where you were talking about Trump and Kennedy, and one of the Blooms was on your guest.
Sean Bloom, yes, was on the show. Yep.
First of all, there's a lot of things I don't like about Democrats, but one thing they do have a good point are the labor laws, because I have to say from my experience, this state has really crap labor laws.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't.
And
can I ask you something, though, if you don't mind?
Yeah.
What is it about I'm just curious because I want to pick your brain a little bit. Let me ask you first. Are you a Republican?
Well,
and
that's what I was going to get to. Well, because, just I've been hearing that John Fetterman is talking about the border, and I'm like, well, hey, now I don't really have to vote against him, and I actually admire what he did. And I think that was the largest drawback of the Democrats. It's just, and there's a lot of us who, vote for Trump, not because we like him, but because that's really, the only option out there. It's like, well, I don't get on a cab to the airport because I have to, but because there's no train to the airport from the hotels.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's like our choices are very limited. And, it's just that, so there was this architectural firm I was working in, and they fired me for meaningless reasons. Like I came to work 3 minutes late, which we don't believe that. But the thing is, if this was other states, they would have had their you-know-what torn apart. And so here's what happened. I saw the architect and the owner at the Clark County building because I wanted to complain about all to the engineers about the bad traffic lights and the construction because that's what made me late. And then as soon as I saw him, he's like, yeah, I don't want to talk to you. We gave you a notice for you to leave. And he cussed at me and he said, you left a bad review for our company.
Okay, so hold on. I get that. I have to interject though, because this is important. You said you have a lot of issues with Democrats, which is totally fine. I have some issues with Democrats also.
Yeah.
What are your biggest issues in 2024 with Democrats? I want to pick your brain on that.
Well, the biggest issue I have is immigration, and the biggest pros that they have is income inequality. Because if we would have done something about these rich fat cats who are getting richer and everybody's getting crumbs, what would have happened to me with that architectural firm would have probably not happened.
Okay, but let me backtrack. Let me backtrack to what you just said, though. I think it's a Republican problem and a Democrat problem. Donald Trump.
Yeah, I agree.
I know, but you said that's one of your biggest issues with Democrats.
Problem.
But
that's Trump's biggest problem.
Right. Trump said he was going to build a wall and Mexico's going to pay for it. He built 16% of the wall.
But the main economic problem is that workers are treated like crap.
Okay, I agree. Okay, but hold on. I agree with you. I agree with what you're saying. But when you say it's my biggest issue with Democrats, that's not a Democrat or a Republican issue. That's an American issue. I want to know something.
I agree.
So name me something that Democrats are doing that you don't like that Republicans are not doing. Because when you're going to criticize Democrats, I want to hear something specific that only Democrats are doing, if that makes sense.
Well, both parties are at fault, but Democrats tend to do worse on average on immigration.
Okay. Why do you say that? Because more people are crossing the border illegally? Because Trump's policies of putting kids in cages and a lot of his policies didn't work either.
And I'm going to explain the reason. Because when we have the two senators that have meetings with non-citizens and they haven't had a town hall meeting, I mean, I just don't think.
All right, so you think Democrats are weak on immigration. I would tend to say that it's both parties, but give me something else. What would be like?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because Republicans are on the bed with Wall Street, absolutely.
Okay.
But I wanted to respond to the
hold on.
your
Okay, I'll give you that opportunity. But can you name me something else from Democrats in 2024 that Republicans are not doing that you think is a fair criticism of the left?
Well, I think that, it's like, I think that they haven't been focusing on the fact that CEOs are making 1,000 times the compensation than the average employee. I mean, this is absurd. This is why people revolted in the Gilded Age.
Well, Joe Biden and Democrats seem to preach every single day that rich need to pay their fair share. So I'm not sure that that's a fair
No,
criticism.
we need to regulate their pay. We need to regulate CEO pay.
Joe Biden's talked about that in many of his speeches when it comes to the economy. But the problem is that if they can't pass something, and Republicans seem to vote against it because they want to help their rich friends, I just think I get what you're saying when it comes to immigration. I think that's Republicans and Democrats. I don't think that's, and I know you're not claiming it's only Democrats. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, absolutely.
Go ahead, Cyrus. I got about a minute. Go ahead and make your other point when it comes to
Anyway, but the Bloom guy says the dollar is in jeopardy. I mean, if that dollar crashes, we're going to have a lot of these foreign-born people leave because they come here to send money abroad. We know This is what they do out here in Vegas.
Yeah.
And, it's just, I guess that's how you could reverse the trend, but we don't want to do that.
Well, here's what I want to do to reverse. Here's what I want to do to reverse the trend, my friend. I don't want the Nevada GOP chair to be a lifelong criminal scumbag who tried a fake electorate scheme and was just recently indicted. And I know,
and I don't trust him either.
Yeah,
I don't trust him either. But
we need better people in office. And Amy Tarkanian here in Nevada is a fair-minded person. But guess what? The Republican Party, those in the MAGA base, they don't want moderate Republicans. They want MAGA criminals like Mike McDonald. Buddy, I got to get going, but
we need better labor laws in Nevada.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with you one bit, my friend.
We're not chewing gum.
I'm
they should
with
give
you.
us orientation and training.
I don't disagree with you one bit, sir, and I appreciate your call. Very valid points, and you call back anytime, okay? Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Spread the word.
All right. So thank you for the phone call. And I appreciate everybody on the Occupy Democrats Network that has joined us. I have some big news that I'm going to be sharing with you tomorrow. A little extra on-air time, if you will, for subscribers of Occupy Democrats. And guess what? It involves me and pushing the limits. So I will be sharing that with you at the top of the show tomorrow. And I appreciate everybody watching us, YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, X, everything. And, of course, the Occupy Democrats Network as well. Follow me on YouTube at PTL Radio Show. You could also check out my new website, which just went live the other day, which is www.ptlradio.com. That's ptlradio.com if you want to get a little bit more interactive with me. And, I can send you those 8x10 autographed glossy photos if you'd like. Anyway, and Numchuck will sign one for you as well. Thanks for joining us, everybody, and we'll take a quick break. If you want to watch the rest of the show, you can check me out on YouTube at PTL Radio Show, where Gully Gulbertson will be joining us next, Silver and Black today. Talk a little football in the national championship game yesterday and some Raiders football. Coming up next right here on Pushing the Limits.